Well, welcome back. It's been about 5 months. What have you been up to?
Same old stuff. Mostly just training a lot. Having a full fight camp was nice. Went to Fortis quite a bit. There's a lot of good welterweights going, who have fought, either last week or next week. So it's been a good training camp. I had a lot of my students compete at a jiu-jitsu tournament, like over 50 of them. So, same stuff as the last 15 years, just training and teaching every day.
Would you say that that was a good timetable to turn around, or did you want to come back a little bit sooner?
It's funny. Being in the UFC is so awesome. Truly no complaints. If there's any one thing I would change, I just wish I could be a little more active. Now, granted, coming off of a loss, it was cool to have some time off just to recover. But if it was up to me, I'd fight every 2 months. So 5 months was okay. So long as I can get at least one more in this year, I'd be happy. But 3 to 4 fights a year would be ideal. Doing 2 to 3 now is cool. So that's fine too. But again, activity's big.
And you mentioned the loss. I know that that's obviously not something you want to come off of, but what did you learn from that?
Yeah, so man, that was a tough one to swallow. I was doing really well in that Pons fight, and actually got too comfortable. Learned a very valuable lesson. I remember even telling myself in that third round, just with the movement and the cadence and the pacing, I was just I'm kind of cruising through this one and just got too comfortable. So as a fighter, I learned to never get too comfortable in the octagon. And then two, as a coach, anytime any of my fighters are up 2 rounds going into the third, I always give a pretty awesome speech about not celebrating anything until that final bell has sounded. And third round's always got to be the best round. So if I make it to the third round in this next fight, expect that to be the best round.
And what were your thoughts when you got the name for your next opponent?
Yeah, so I've actually been watching Tim Means fight forever. He actually he was in the UFC, got cut, and then he fought in Legacy in Houston back in the day. And he actually fought one of Houston's big prospects, and the winner of that fight would likely have been re-signed, which was the case. So I remember watching him fight, and then ever since then kind of followed his career. And right when COVID happened and they were really, going through some matchups, I just had a hunch we would get matched up. So he's kind of been on my radar in terms of what name pops up in the contract for about 2 years now. So I was actually kind of I don't want to say relieved to get the matchup, but kind of excited to finally get this scrap. Plus he's a veteran. I'd much rather fight these more well-known guys than the newer guys. Granted, I'll fight whoever, but it's a better feather in the cap.
Do you get excited with all matchups, or was that unique to this one?
Yeah, just getting a fight's always exciting, but there's definitely name and recognition value that goes into your opponents. And again, Tim's one of those guys that a lot of people know. And stylistically, he likes to stand and scrap. I do the same thing, so it's going to be a fun fight.
Is that what you're expecting, a 3-round war from him, or do you feel like you can get in and out of there pretty quickly?
I always expect a 3-round war. I had fights back in the day where I would really try to gun for a KO in the first, and if it didn't happen, it would kind of skew game plans. So I always expect for 15 hard minutes.
And what do you see happening after this? What's your next plan? I know you mentioned you want to fight at least one more time. Do you have an opponent in mind, a location in mind, or are you not even looking that far ahead yet?
No, cliche answer, but I got a big fight on Saturday. I'm going to focus on that and then look to game plan afterwards.
Thank you.
Yep. All good. Perfect. Cool. Thanks.